Hello and good morning. I'm going to start by transferring the image, which is going to be a Pear, and we're going to talk a little bit about the values. I've already done kind of a value study on this that I'll talk about. Again, we just put our carbon paper down, we drop our thing, we drop our photo, and I'm just going to trace over it real quick. Okay, I've got most of it done. I'm just going to put in my table background, my shadow. I've got the leaf, I've got that outline, and then I just want to get these guys in here, these kind of semi-highlights. Okay. A marker there, and then I'm just going to do a little something here. Okay, and we've got a highlight over here, we got a little brown area there. Okay, let's lift up and just take a look. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I want to talk about a couple things. One is we've transferred the image. I've got my value study here. I want to talk about these. So I printed out a black and white, and I printed out a color, and the black and white, the hope there is to get the tones right, okay? However, my printer doesn't seem to quite do it. In here, this area in here looks to be almost as black as this, and it's not. It's clearly not. So, but it does give you the idea of tones. There's highlights in here, there's highlights in here, and there's highlights in there. So I would say these are should be our mid-tone, these are our highlight areas, and this is our darkest tone. Okay, so if you look at the color picture, it's a little better. It doesn't have this as black, okay, and you can clearly see that. And if we go over to here, so again, if you look, we go here, and you know it goes light to dark, and then we've got these. So we're going to pay attention to that. So the first thing we're going to do is mask. Now, I use Daniel Smith's masking fluid with this Aquarel thing. So I don't like what they use in here. So I get these things empty, okay? You know, I've got tons of them, which I always overbuy stuff. And I put them in storage. But anyways, you buy them empty, and then I fill them with Daniel Smith's, and then I can just refill it, because you can run hot water in here, it'll get the goop out. Okay, and it's got a really, really fine point. Now all I'm going to do is really mask this highlight. Let me get this. Get that air out of there. Mask in here. Even though this isn't white, we're going to come back and do it with the blue-gray that's in there. So, and the reason I like this over the Daniel Smith's, you can get the fine point on the Daniel Smith thing applicator, except it pops off. You got to tape it on. It's just kind of a pain. This is just excellent. I can do this when I'm doing lace, because I can get really, really fine lines. Okay. Let me come back here and just hit this. Okay, and I'm going to add something else to here. This has a little pin that goes in here and keeps that from gumming up. I'll screw that up. I didn't like that I only had the one leaf here. Okay, so we got this little thing coming down here, and I'm going to add a little bit more to this. I'm going to thin this out, come out like this. It's just me adding my own little thing here, and then down through, okay? I shouldn't use my 4B on this. I'll use my 2H, it's a lighter. Okay, I'm going to add another leaf. I'm just going to, like I did over here, I'll show you about it in a minute. Okay, and you know, a quick thought on carbon. I normally do not use carbon transfers, and I'll show you what I use at a later point. But for simple exercises like this, the carbon's fine. Why I don't like the carbon is if I put my hand on it, it can transfer carbon. The carbon doesn't lift very easily, so I just generally don't like it. And I also can't see what I've drawn until I'm done. Okay, so I use a projector, and I do a lot more complicated stuff than this. But that's going to be a whole nother conversation because there's a lot of complications in using a projector, and there's some benefits. So anyways, getting back to this while this dries is, again, my value study went in here and I lifted these colors because when I was drawing it, I kept seeing the black, how black it was in my picture when it's really not that black, you know, as we go back to, you know, okay. So that being said, let's let this dry and we'll come back. Okay, this is dried. So the first thing we're going to do is just lay our first layer in, which I'm going to go for a yellow, okay, underneath this because the yellow is going to become green. So what I'm going to do is come over here and I will talk about my palette in short. I'm a little bit obsessive about these things. I've got like 15 of these things till I found the one that I like. And I'm actually starting to lean toward mineralizing this even more. Okay, this is based on the idea that I start with two yellows, okay, a warm and a cool, and the warm yellow leans toward the red, right? So I'm going to go red, and these are colors that will mix with red to become orange. So then I got my oranges in here, and then my reds that lean toward orange, and then over here with my reds are the same thing. The reds that lean toward orange. The reds that lean toward blue, and which give you your violets, your purples, and then my blues that lean toward red, and then my blues that lean toward green. Okay, so and to be honest, I don't use all these colors, and that's why I'm starting to think about dropping down even more, but I'm good with what I've got. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go with an azo that leans toward green. Okay, and just put this down here. Okay. And then I want to see kind of what that'll give me with a blue that leans, and I don't want to use cerulean because it's got a texture to it necessarily, but let's give it a shot. Okay, and then I'll grab some of my azo and go in here and see. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. Let's see. That's not bad, okay, but let's try another one. I'll go with that. I'm sorry. Go with the azo. Go over here. And I'm going to go with phthalo blue, and this is the green shade because the red shade's right there. So let's just try this. It's not going to be heavily staining though. It's going to create a really dark green. I don't want that. I mean, let's just lift it out a little bit. I mean, we might play with that. I like this better. So we're going to go with that with the cerulean. We could try the Prussian blue. But I think that's going to be really dark too. Yeah, so far I think I like using cerulean blue. Okay, so, and I usually do this now, you know, to test my colors. The only thing is I'm a realist, but I don't always paint true to the color. I'm not trying to be a hyper realist. I mean, I obviously won't paint a pear red, and I won't paint an apple, I don't know, pink. Well, I mean, I guess there are pink apples, but let's come in here and we're gonna wet this down. So what I'm gonna do is just start by going through my pear here and just getting a layer of water into it. That way, when I drop the yellow in, it will flow. I won't have brush strokes. Okay. Let's see here. I don't want it that yellow, don't worry. I'm going to move it out. It just wasn't, it didn't have enough yellow to it. It was too watered down the first. And what's neat is, you know, we're layering. I layer all the time in watercolor, okay? And what that is, you paint a layer and then you add another layer to it. You've got a good friend who, he mixes his colors on the painting versus up there in the palette. And there's no scientific reason that it would be better there. He just likes it better there. And what I will say, what I think it does, is it gives you a dynamic flavor for seeing it blending as you're doing it on your painting versus up there, and it may not represent what you want when you hit here. Don't know, just a theory. Okay, so we're gonna pause while this dries, and I'll come back. Okay, so now we're going to put in our layer of blue, okay, because I'm just going for the lightest colors first. So we've got this highlighted, right? So our lightest green is going to be here, and I'm going to shy away from here a little bit because the yellow kind of remains. It's just got some brown in it, okay? So again, let's just go back and look at this. So let's do that. So let me just take my 2H pencil, and this area kind of down and into here is going to be our brown area, okay? So we're going to avoid that. So let's get some water on this brush, and let's go with our cerulean. Okay, and I should start throwing this in here. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to add a layer of water to this first. I'm not going to add a layer to the area that I'm leaving alone. Okay. Okay, now we're going to hit our cerulean blue. And yeah, if you noticed, I dipped my bad water and then my good water. That was a mistake. Okay, let's come in here. I know it's looking more blue than green, but it'll subdue. It'll go in there. We might want to, if we want to get it limer, we'll add another layer of yellow in here. Okay. And the only reason I was originally going to stay away from cerulean is it's also got a texture to it. Okay, it's a granulated color, and I would use that for stuff that I want texture to. And I don't necessarily want texture here, but it's not. This is a pretty smooth cerulean. So we'll let that dry. You can see it's going green on us because the yellow's showing through. And when this dries, we'll come back and discuss what we'll do next. Okay, now we've dried, but you can see like some of the blue didn't quite go where I wanted it to. I mean, that is the blue stayed blue. So I'm going to lay down just a lighter wash of yellow again because I want to get a little bit more, although we do have a nice green in here, it's a nice lime green. And look, I'm honest in all the stuff that I talk about, like meaning I discover stuff as I go, and I'll share my thoughts with you. Like, you know, I'll experiment with stuff, and it may not turn out, and that's all part of our learning process here. So, you know, I used the cerulean, which I said I normally wouldn't, but I liked the way it gave me kind of a limeish green. After I did it, I started thinking, well, why didn't I use cobalt blue? Okay, and I honestly can't answer that. If I did it again, I might give that a try. In fact, let's play with that. We're not going to do it here because we've already laid it down, but we got our yellow there, right? Okay. Now let's go with cobalt blue. Okay. Yeah, cobalt. Let me mix it up here a little bit. Okay, that works too. It's not too different. It's a little greener. It's not quite as lime. So maybe our first choice was right. Okay, so let me go in here and I'm gonna lay down just a little more yellow. And not much. I'm gonna push it through the wash. Okay, but it's gonna get rid of those blues that didn't quite blend in the first time and make it more green. Okay, so and then I'm gonna do one more thing. Once this dries, we're gonna do another masking layer. And normally I would have just painted around it, but I'm gonna do a masking layer for this area here and here because I want to preserve that that's just a little bit lighter. Okay, so let's just want to make sure those blues are gone for the most part. There, now we got a nice lime green. Let me rinse this out. And let me come in here with I'm going to clean up my palette for when we come back. So what I do in here is any of the paint that's dry, right, I'm just going to clean all this up so we'll have fresh stuff to work with. Right, because some of these colors I didn't use, and I would hate to grab the wrong blue on something I was experimenting with. There we go. Okay. I'll be back when this dries. Okay, we're back. Now this is dried. So again, we have a lot of yellow over here, and let me go back to here. It's a staining color, so if here I want to lift this to get this back to yellow, I'm going to give this guy a shot. And they're called magic erasers, and you get them, you want to get the ones that are the originals, that don't have any chemicals in them. Okay, because I think the newer ones have bleach. Let's just see what I can do. So, yeah. See that? It's lifting that right out. Because I want to get that back to like a yellow. Okay? And I think I want to lift this just a tiny bit too. Okay. There. Okay, now we'll just throw that there for now. And I just want to smooth this out around the edges here. I mean, that is like the neatest little lifting tool. So I'm going to let this dry here, and then I'm going to mask those highlights that we just talked about that are kind of like yellowish or green limeish. Okay, let's come in here and mask some of this stuff that I was talking about. So we've got this line right underneath here, and it's above this dot, so it's right about here. Right, and then the next one is above this guy, right about here. It kind of widens up. Right, and then we're going to do a little bit in here. And a little bit in here. And this kind of shape here. Right. Okay. That should be good. We'll let this dry and come back. Okay, I think this is dried. And let's see what we're going to do. So I'm going to start laying in another layer of green, work around in here, darken this up a little bit, and then add the next layer. So let's just wet the area that we're going to paint in. Use a bigger brush for that. Okay, and I'm going to leave this area that we just lifted alone. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go with our cerulean blue. And I'm going to go with the azo again. Let's try to get this darkened up though. I want to get it darker. If this isn't dark enough, I might try a different blue. Because the cerulean's a pretty light blue. It's what you use for your sky blues. I think this is okay. Okay, so I'm just going to drop in a little. Okay, and I'm going to move it out and around. Keep in mind, it's still kind of lime green up here, but don't worry, I'm going to pull this green out in a second. Okay. Just going to thin it out a little. Okay. I'm going to really thin it out and pull it down into here. See, I'm getting my line back in there. Now, I still want to kind of stay light over in here, so let's like lift this up a little bit. Keep in mind, watercolor always dries lighter. Okay. Now, notice I said there was some browns over here. I want to play with that now, but I gotta wait till this dries. So let's come back in a minute. Okay, I want to play around with the browns. Okay, so let's just take this piece of paper. And over here, I have my earth tones. I'm going to start with raw sienna. That's a little bit lighter brown. Got a little bit of the reddish in it too. And look at that. Okay, look at that. That comes pretty darn close to that. Okay, so now that's way too much, so let's just get a lot of water in here real fast and lift and spread. And then over into here. Now, I may come back over here and lift this region in here to give me a little bit of white to put down over that, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet. I might just be happy with what I've got. Okay, so I'm looking at the picture. Don't want to get carried away here. Okay, and a little bit of the brown comes over here. I don't want the hard edges, so I'm just going to come in with a damp brush. Remember in our first video we talked about the two brush method. I'm just coming in and see that softens that edge all up real nice. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and we will come back. Okay, now look, when I'm painting, I do constantly go back to the picture, and again, I don't go for a complete one-to-one. So I think what I want to do while this is getting darker, I'm going to keep adding up greens to get these darks. So let's just focus right now on this half of the pear. Okay, so I'm going to layer in some greens in here, right? And then I might add just a little bit darker here, here, here. Okay, so let's see what we're gonna do. So I got these greens up here. Just getting this wet again. Let's see here. So I'm gonna I got my line that's through here. And I got my lines here. You probably cannot see them, but I'm gonna, don't worry, I'm gonna soften these edges. Just get some water in here. I went to water to add it because this paint came in, thick. I didn't pre-wet my paper, and I don't always pre-wet my paper. Okay. And there's a hard edge in here, so don't worry about this. Okay. Now. Okay. And then let's come down. Let's start adding this into here. I'm going to mix up some more. Okay, and there's a little bit over here. I'm just softening this edge up. Come over here and just soften this edge up. Yeah, it's nice and soft through there. And I'm going to add a darker layer through here. But I want to keep this lime green kind of in here. So this is still lime. It's just a shade darker. It's just a shade darker. Don't worry, I'm going to lift that up in a minute. And then underneath this, and above this. Don't worry, I'm going to lift it. Okay, and then right through this dot, see? I'm going to come in with a dry brush and just kind of lift that up a little bit. brush and lift that up a little bit. Yeah, a tiny bit in there. Dry brush, lift this up a little bit. Okay. What I'm going to do is come in with this one like this, right? Now we do know that it gets a little bit darker down in here, so we'll do that. Okay, now let's get my dry brush, a thirsty brush, right? Come back over here, because I don't want blooms and I don't want these hard edges here. I want these to be kind of subtle transitions. Okay. Okay. Now let's just let that dry. Okay, I'm back. Let's come in here. I want to see some of these lines here. I'm going to soften those up. So I'm just going to wet my brush. You know, that's just because I was painting, you know, I came in with a dry brush and I got some kind of blooms. Okay, this should really be a soft edge too. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's looking a little better. There's this big thing right here. Let's just keep smoothing that out. Yeah, let's just keep pushing that out. Okay. Okay, right? There we go. Now, obviously, you know, this is getting even darker. We'll address that. I'm going to come over here and now start doing my darks through here, which is this section in here, okay? So it's going to be really dark up under here, and I might actually come in with some blacks, okay? But I'm going to do that now. I'm going to see how far I can get it dark with the greens. Okay, so we're going to come back up here. Okay. And let's see here. Let me bring this down here. Okay. Now, let's come back. See how this picture here is much darker than the original because it's the printer, is what you see here. But it doesn't matter. Let's see what we can do. So we're gonna come down through here. Okay. Work on my soft edges right now. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm hitting my brush. I bring these over where you can see them. Okay, my dirty water, my clean water. Okay. Get some water. Come in because I'm right-handed. Add some water. Just so my paint will flow when I put it down. I'm gonna come in here. I want to be respectful of this white space. It's not white, but this much lighter space through here. So let's grab some paint. Right. And then there's something coming in through here. Like that. Oops. Clean off the brush. Grab a little wet. I'm going to make my thirsty brush again. Come over here. And if I haven't explained it, a thirsty brush is you rinse it off and then you get the water out of it, so that it wants to pull up water. Okay, or pigment in this case. We're just using this to blend. Okay, and we get that really neat look to it. See? Okay. And this is, so this here is this. So we get darkness coming down underneath here, right? All the way into here. And the darkness comes up around this guy here. Okay. Let's soften these edges out and blend. Okay, and then it's kind of light over here. Okay, so, and again, in this guy here. Back. It's just our azo yellow. We'll put it here. Now, again, I'm going to put it in. It'll probably look overwhelming. That's okay. Don't worry. You know, I will say this. I'm going to yellow this up a little bit too. Let me go get some more greens. A really big thing in watercolor is also know when to quit. When are you overworking your painting? It's taken me years and I still don't get it. There are times when you can be really frustrated with your painting, and that's probably when you need to just stop and walk away for a little bit. Okay. Whoa, painting myself. You know, I don't know if dropping black in here will overwhelm it, but I'm not going to do it yet. I might even go with a deeper blue. I'll play with some darker greens over here, and maybe I can keep it to green. But it's definitely it loses color in here and gets really dark. Sorry, it gets really dark in here. Okay, but that's what gives us our sense of like depth. Okay. Let's go with our azo yellow. Get it over here. Get our cerulean blue. Oh, that's too blue. Sorry, I mumble to myself or make weird noises. My wife thinks I'm a horse. It's what I do when I think. I just wanted that to be even. I'll come over here and soften this again. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that till it dries. Okay, but what I can do, because it's not wet up toward the top, I'm going to work on these leaves. Okay, I'm going to come in with a really light wash of a brown first, and I'm not going to capture these shadows. I don't like those. Okay, I wish I'd caught them when I was making a photograph. Yeah. Let's come in here with a raw sienna. Because I do want these to stand out from the rest of everything that's involved here. Okay? Like I said, I'm going to do a light wash first. And we're going to keep some things in mind. We know the light is hitting here, so what I'm going to do is make the side of this leaf lighter and a little darker over here to get the crest, because there's a crest in here, or a valley or whatever, in here and in here. We're going to make those darker, and obviously the light's hitting here, so this will be lighter, and then it'll fall into the shadow over here. Okay? And let's just put something in with our stem. That's just a first wash. Okay? I did notice something over here. I got a hard edge right in here. I just want to soften that up. Okay, and we'll come back when this dries. Okay, I'm back. It's the next day now. Here, I'm going to work on more toning and blending. You know, from the photograph, there aren't such hard stops in here other than, you know, coming along in here. So I'm going to play around. So let's get this area wet. And when we lift these highlights will need to be blended in too. So let's come down into here. I'm just going to put this light layer over that. I will darken areas of this up significantly to get that like three-dimensionality to this. But right now I'm just trying to get in here and blend it. Just come back through and soften some of this up. And when we lift the masking, it's going to be significant. There's going to be a significant contrast, which we'll have to soften up as well. I was just trying to loosen up the paint when I was painting kind of in circles like that. Now I'm just trying to get a uniform flow of color through here. Let me soften this up. Okay. I'm going to use this as a lifting brush or scrubber. I just want to get some of this out of here. Okay. I'm going to do some more with my leaves. Let's move this over here. And I'm going to come in with the burnt sienna. What I'm going to do. I use these things to cut up blotting paper. You can get it on Amazon and cut it up. And I can get in here and just edge to lift this a little bit out. Lets me get an angle in there more. And we're going to be darker in here anyways. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'll be right back. Okay. It's smoothing out and it's blending. I'm going to add another wash or layer over this another glaze. So I'm just kind of coming in and wetting because I want this to go down uniformly, right? So I'm going to get the wet out to there so it'll run, come out here. Okay. And then when I was off camera, I did something. I'm going to show you in a second. I was just playing around with what I wanted to do with the leaves, so we'll come back to that. What I did was I kind of went through and I did kind of what I think my leaves will look like. And we'll play with that later. So let me just get this in here now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a little darker. So I'm going to go with Prussian blue. Okay, yeah. Let's see what we can do here with this. Let's really get that activated. I'm going to go with my yellow. There we go. Now we got a nice dark green. Okay, and that's going to be this area in here, and I'm going to come over here. So let's see here. Coming down from here. Right.
Detail on top of a finished glaze. I found that you want usually the finished glaze needs to be a little bit darker, so that because once you put in all this little detail, it's really going to.
Okay, right. We still got a light area in there, but then it's kind of really dark up in here. And I will probably come in and put some blacks in here. We'll see. Don't worry, I'll clean off my leaf. We'll show you how to do that. And then this gets really dark up in here. Okay, let me do some blending here. Oh, and the finishing touches are what are the most fun on these things. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good. Now we're going to end up putting darks in here and probably get some blacks up in here. But I'm going to let this dry and then I'll fix this. I might see if I can't just do a little bit right now. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, I'm going to do a little more blending here. I'm going to use this brush. I'm just going to wet it a little bit. Just kind of drag it across. Watch out for that leaf. And don't worry, we'll clean up these where it's square up here. Okay, and I'm dragging it kind of in the direction of the pear. Oops, I want to cross my leaf. Don't worry about going over there. I'm just adding a slight, by pulling it over, just a slight glaze over this yellow area. Okay? Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's see here. Okay, that dark, see that's dark there? We got to get it down in here a little more. Okay. So, and then I'm going to flirt with my black. Let me get this shape back. This shape in here back. Okay, good. Now I'm going to work on these leaves. Just rinse my brush off. Okay. Go with the burnt sienna. Just blend this in a little bit. I want it kind of dark at the top, dark at the bottom. Look in here, I'm not trying to paint what's actually there this time. Let's go over what I imagine to be this guy. This is all going to be kind of in the dark over here. Same thing probably down in here. And then I'm going to just kind of pull this up. Pull this down. Okay. That's okay. Okay. Now I'll add the details in later. But I'm gonna play with something over here while that dries. Let's just put this over here. And let's just take this here. Okay, right. And let me go in here. Get my Prussian blue. Don't worry, I'm just using this as an experiment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and play with the line here, but there I'm going to experiment with it on here first, right? Okay. And we'll come back to both of these when it's dry. Okay. Here's where I'm going to come in here and do a little experiment. So I want to talk about darkening this up, and I'm going to play with neutral tint. Okay, and it's Daniel Smith's. Just put a little there. I use this to do all my grays. I just add more and more water to it for when I do crystal. So let's see here. Now we want this kind of sharp line and darken these green areas up. So I just want to see what this would do over here. So oh, I like that. Okay, See that? Okay, so it's not really using a black, it's a neutral tint which leans to blue. Okay, so which means it's going to add to the green, but it'll be really darken it up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw this kind of line down through here and then let it get like a lighter, because it's more of a line here than it really is here. So let's come in here with this. Just come down here. I've kind of lost my drawing. So I'm going to come down through here and out around here. Right now. I can get rid of this and go to the bigger brush. Come here. Coming in between these two lines here. Don't worry, I'm going to soften these edges too. Soften this up.
Very soft brush, which will just make it smooth everything out.
If I want to get a bloom, I just put too much water down there. Okay, let's see. Turn this way. Thirsty brush. Okay, so I'm going to come down around here. Comes in under here. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to get really dark onto this leaf, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to start over in here and follow these highlights, which are these guys here. Follow it in here. Right, and then down, kind of over here a little bit, and get my thirsty brush back. Bring it up. Now, let's come up under here, because it's like really dark in here. I'm going to give that a sense of a drop shadow.
Sometimes people have trouble with too much lifting at this stage. If you're having a lot of trouble, then just leave it sit overnight and then come back to it. The longer it's on your paper, the more permanent it is. Even if it's not even, it'll be easier tomorrow to do it rather than, just going over and over and over to not, and not, you're fighting a losing battle. So just step away from it and wait for tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll try it and we'll see what it looks like. Okay. I put my neck cords on to see how it would look. I think it looks pretty good. I don't know, but I think it might be a little bit dull. Maybe not as vibrant as I'd like it to be. I added a lot of black.
Okay, I'm liking that so far. I know it looks a little darker on camera or whatever, but it looks pretty good here. Now, I'm going to come in here and put my veins in.
Format that we've done before. I'm going to put on the first glaze with the number 12 round, and then the next glaze with the hockey brush. It's the same procedure. So, I don't know. Something to zip it up a little. Maybe some cobalt.
I'm just putting my vein.
See, all these glazes, each one that you put on just adds depth and richness to these backgrounds. So, here we go.
I'm not sure I like that, but we'll see. Okay, let's just see how that dries. Okay, we'll let this dry and come back to it. And keep in mind, everything dries lighter, so let's just see how it dries out. Okay, we're dry. Let's come back here. I want to add some more of this neutral tone in here. I want to come down through here, although I kind of like this here. It gives that roundness, but I want to get over in here. Okay. And over between these two areas. Oops, wrong water. Oh well. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to put all those little dots in here first. So how we're going to do that is this. First, we're going to use drafting tape, and we're going to mask this area off when it dries. But what we're going to do is for that is a brown. So there's a couple ways to do it. One is just with your brush, you get it loaded up, and then we're going to figure that out. Okay, see how we do that? Can you see that? Yeah, you probably can't see it, but it's creating lots of little dots. So we're going to do that. I'll probably actually do it after I lift the masking fluid and smooth some of those areas out. So let's let this dry, and then we'll come back, lift the masking fluid, smooth some stuff out, and then work on a lot of these little details, getting the light smoothed out. Okay, I'm going to lift the masking. And then, I always hate when I lift the masking, okay? Only because it creates such hard edges, and it looks horrible. Okay, and look at the difference, because that was our original, like, line layer under here. But we're gonna smooth all these out. That's our line layer, sorry. Okay, so obviously that doesn't look anything like this. So we're going to subdue these colors. So let's just start here by bringing in the surrounding color. Well, actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this to smooth this out. So let's just get this guy here and just come over here and don't worry. Come this way. Don't worry. Okay. Right? We're making it much more subtle instead of that. If you notice this side, the white is so, in the hard edges. Okay, we don't want those hard edges. Okay. Now, what I want is these tones are faded in here. There's not this like wide spread. So I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to get some of my lime paint over here. I'm going to just add in here. I'm going to add in here because I want to get smoother transitions. So let's see how I can do this. Just bring that up. Let me see what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. Oh, we're in September. I got my windows open. It smells so nice. I think fall's the favorite time of the year for me. Okay. I don't want these hard edges. Okay, and if I look at here, this is very, very light. Bring my scrubber in. And this is a Rosemary's small, it's called the Eradicator. I love these for lifting. I'm just trying to smooth those hard edges out. I still want that that lighter, value in here because that's what's in the painting. Or that's what's in the photograph. But I don't want those hard edges. Okay, see that? Much, much better. Okay. And I'm going to come back and tweak some of these light things right here and that. But now let's go through here. I'm going to go with the soft brush first, wet it. Come in here, and there's like if you look at this, it's kind of like almost a very, very light silvery blue. So let's experiment. Let's go with cobalt blue. Just to see it over here, just a tad. I want that really, really watery. Okay, and let's just come in here. Don't worry, I'm not done yet. It's starting to look, yeah. Okay. Now I may come back. Because I'm going to pull some of the greens into this too. I don't want those soft edges, so I'm coming back with my scrubber. And to be honest with you, you don't need to get the Rosemary's brush for this. But but notice that is looking better. And there are separators in here, you know, between here and here, and I'll go put those back in here. I just want to get rid of these hard edges. You can use any like hard bristle brush to do this. So I'll come back in here, grab my line paint. I'm not afraid of hitting the greenish water because I'm dealing with green, so it's not like I'm mixing colors. And let's come up through here. So separation there. And this one is a little bit more greenish over here, right? Just want to thin this out a little bit. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay. I do not like these hard edges, so I'm going to come back through this. If you see the line that's around here, let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to come back, and when this dries, okay, we're going to mask out these guys, and we don't care about the black because when I do the splatter, black's going to cover that up, but we're going to mask this out over here, okay? So we're going to have some fun with the effects next. Okay, let's start masking this out to do some of the final effects. So I use a drafting tape for this sort of stuff because you can see through it. So again, we don't care about up in this area. We just don't want to get our desk a mess. You know, I mean our this area. Okay, there's that. And see, you can see through the drafting tape, so I'll be able to cut this out with the X-Acto knife. Okay, so I come in here. And this is not masking tape, it's drafting tape, so I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that. Masking tape, drafting tape's made so it doesn't stick too much to the substrate and leave glue behind. Masking tape is not that way, at least that's my experience. So drafting tape, this is drafting tape Pro. Okay, let me get that. Okay, and you can get this from Cheap Joe's. Okay, so in here, all we want is Sorry, I got some strange person yelling out in my front yard. Okay. Now, let's experiment again just to get their splatter. So I feel good about it. Let's move these guys. Move this. Gonna go with burnt sienna. Yeah, that's good. Now, let me just try a different brush real quick. Yeah, those are too big of drops. So you can see what we were doing. So, and again, we don't care if it goes over in this area because that's all going to be black. We just didn't want to get it down in here. I'm getting it over here, but who cares? Okay. And then when this dries, we're going to come and do some of the, we're going to come in and do some of the bigger areas. Okay. Some of these bigger areas. Okay. But we're going to let this dry. Okay. And I got it all over my desk, so we'll be doing some cleaning later. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, there's still stuff to finish up in here, but I'm going to start putting the black in here because this is already masked off and these are masked off, so why not take advantage of it? So I'm going to use this brush. I want to get this all wet. And I've got bigger brushes than this, but this will allow me to get up close because I don't want to get the black over into here. And yeah, it's going to pull some of this brown into that was let down. This just allows the black to smooth, and we're going to probably end up doing several layers of the black. I don't want it on too thick, but okay. And then what I use for the black is this guy. I make my own black, which we've discussed in others, and I'll do a video on this. But for the sake of this, I'm going to use it out of the tube. It's called McCracken Black. I use Lauren McCracken's recipe to make my own, because that's how you did it before before he actually got his own paint, but it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to put some over there. So let me bring this into the camera. Okay, so I put the McCracken Black in here, and I can get rid of this for now. Put this over here. Okay, so this is the McCracken Black. Okay. Just set it here. And I put it into this well here. So let me just get some water in here. Right. And this paper is really wet, but don't worry, we're going to do several layers here. I'm just getting the base down. Now I know people, they will mask out this guy, and in a complex painting I would do that, but I won't mask it the way you would think. We'll talk about that when we do one. I could have put tape over that whole thing and masked it as well, but I think I can be fine right here. And I might come back after I dry a layer, depending upon how this is going down, how I feel about it. But I use, when I'm doing more complex paintings, I use a shelving liner, and which we'll deal with later on in another painting, as a mask. Oops. Don't worry, I'll get up there later. I just want to get this first layer in. I may end up masking out that pear because I might want to do some stuff. Don't worry, those white areas, we'll get those. I'm just trying to get the texture through this to get, you know, get it more even while I do this. So don't worry, this is literally a first layer. Get a little bit of water in here. Yeah, and you know, the more I think about this, the more I think I'm gonna mask my pear, because I'm gonna do some blending out here later. But we'll let this dry. Okay, I got my base layer down. One thing about masking the pear off will allow us to do something I'll show you in a minute. But let's just let that dry. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off this with this tape called Nichiban, and I will add where you can get it later. But you can use. The only issue I have with drafting tape is sometimes the black will get under it. So I use this stuff because it sticks down, and it comes up nice too. So I'm gonna do this. And it's inexpensive tape. It just holds. Oops, I messed that up. I'm just going to put a piece over here too. Get my razor knife out. Okay, don't worry, I'll get up here in a second. I just want to get this stuff out. We're going to push this down. It really is a seal. There's an art supplier you can get this from. I just can't think of the name of it right now. But it's called Nichiban. But again, you don't need this. You could do what I would done if I didn't have this now is I would have done masking tape and then cut on the inseam and then put masking fluid around the edge just to secure that up because I don't want any leaks. This up here. Okay, now what's important is let's just burnish this down. Okay. And then I'll just put one little rundown across the bottom here. I could have taken a bigger piece of tape. Okay. Now let's do this. And we're going to do multiple layers to really get this black in here. You see, now I don't have to be so particular about getting up to the edge. What I am going to do is pull out. Okay, see, it's getting in there. That's good. Okay, we're going to let that dry. And we're going to come in and put another layer in. Okay, let's put another layer down. I'm trying to not get brush strokes, so I'm kind of doing this like back and forth thing. And the more we build up layers, the more they'll go away anyways. Now, what I might want to do when I do my last layer is use a wider brush to even obscure the brush marks more. And right now I'm just working at getting rid of like the really big wet spots that are in here. Okay, we'll let that dry, clean out our brush. Okay, let's come in and do another layer. I got a big gob of paint there, but we'll move it all around. Sorry, that's my puppies in the background. Okay. Now I'm just going to smooth this out. I think this might be our final layer. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Just get that paint off. Okay, this is looking pretty good. What I'm going to do is take a bigger brush, okay, get some water. Now I think I'm pretty much there. I'm just going to go over it with one more. Let me do it this way. Get this guy get in and get the paint. I don't like people. Okay, let's get this last layer in. Okay, now this is where I'm going to get the other brush. Okay. What I'm trying to do is just get a uniform texture now. I don't want to get all these little brush strokes. There, I think we're good. Now let's just let this dry. I'll clean these brushes later. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's lift our tape and our masking. See, under the normal mixing fluid, some got through. Where it does not so far look to have happened with the other tape. See, I got a little thick up through here, and I think that's why that little piece lifted up. I saw that when I was painting, but we'll be able to fix that. We'll fix all of that. Here, I'm just going to rub this out. There's other ways to fix this. Sometimes if I don't do this, like where I have to go back to the white and correct it, and I've had to do it. There's a Daniel Smith's white ground, or any of your substrate whites that you use to prep a canvas for like oil painting or watercolor painting. Okay. You can just put over it, but I don't. Something this small, I'll just scratch it out. It's such a small amount. Okay, look at that. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Let me just come in with a little bit of that lime. Just correct this up a little bit. Okay. Whoops. Now, I like everything. The only thing left to do is the base, the shadow, and we're going to get some of these dark components in here. So what we're going to do for that is get this guy over here. The burnt sienna. Right, we've got a couple. They're just bigger ones, and you can randomly put them where you want. I got a splatter almost as big as the one I wanted down there. Okay, there's a couple in here. Okay, let me just rinse this out a little bit. Just go a little bit of it that's watered down. Fix this. I got a little black that came through in there, so I'll scratch that out. Don't worry about it. I actually might be a little bit of tape just stuck there, but I'll wait till that dries up. I'm not going to mess with it now. Okay. I'm going to steal a little black. Come in here, I want this drop shadow really nice. I like that. It looks really good. Okay, now let's see here. This thing is like a brown. So what I'm going to do is use my tape again. I love this stuff. And I will, before this is done up, I'll tell you where you can get it. Okay, I want to get at least one layer down here. Okay. I'm gonna go with the raw sienna. Right. I'm not too worried about the black here. In fact, I'll scrub it out so it'll kind of darken this up. I'm just getting our first layer in. Pull the brown all down here. Don't worry, I'll even it out in a second. Okay, we're just gonna let that dry. Then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. So let's see here. Yeah, you know, I came over here, but such is life. Okay, this we're going to come in with this guy here for this area. We'll let that one dry. Okay, and then we're going to add some texture to here. I want to try something. I'm going to try one of these brushes. You can get these bristle brushes. These are, I've got a whole bunch of them over here off camera, but this one I like better. They're just made for textures. I rarely use them because I don't do as much as texture as I should. And let's come in here with some of this guy here. Let's just get it wet. I just want to get some streaks. Don't overdo it. That's not doing quite what I thought it would, but sorry, those are my dogs. They're not getting along with each other right now. kind of like dry brushing, just trying to get some texture in here. That might be overdone, but actually it doesn't look too bad. Okay, let me see here. When I come in here, just rinse this guy out. Come in here with him. I'm gonna take some of this. I want to darken this area up here. Okay, I'm going to come in here and put black under here, so don't worry about that. Because that ledge isn't, I mean that face isn't that thick, that shelf face. Okay, and we're going to let this dry, and then we'll put our shadow and darken this area up, drag the shadow out, and we'll be pretty close to being done. Okay, let's try to wrap this up today. I'm going to put two things with masking tape first. And I'll just use the drafting tape for this because I'm not as particular about black and getting into it. I mean, it won't, but like what we were doing up here was a lot of back and forth where that's more likely to get the paint to get under the edges. I'm going to try for a finer line here. Okay. And I'm going to add my black here, and then I'll lift this. So, now, I just want to see what it looks like. Normally, I wouldn't even have to do that, right? Because a frame's going to come in here. And we're painting on a block, where I tend to paint on sheets, except for exercises. Because, you know, this is what I started on, and I got tons of these things. So, and yeah, I normally change my water every day. Or if I'm doing a lot of color stuff where I can't have dirty water, but I'm doing it in darks right now. And I just want to make sure this is down. I might have had it leak over because I don't think I pushed the tape down with my thumb as much as I should have. But we shall see. We'll let this dry. I'll come back and put one more on. And, you know, something else which I normally will do is because these edges are so fine and there's some sharp points like right here. Okay, I might smooth that curve out with the black. You know, we'll see. Okay, we'll just see how it all looks when it's all done. Okay, let's lift this one up and see what it looks like. Okay, yep, that's what I thought. A little came through, not a big deal. We'll fix that. That's because I didn't push that one down. I wasn't thinking. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend that into the brown. So let's just get this wet.
So this, the lighter area there should be this color. Darker.
Need some texture in there. Now I'm going to push this down to make sure this edge is down. Okay. Let me just do the same thing here.
And then we'll dry that. Now go ahead and put in, after it's dry real well, I'll go ahead and put in the shadows first so you can see there's a line, there's like a
Okay.
subtle
And we'll let that dry.
in the water. And I'll put in darker areas there with much less
Okay.
dark.
I will just give this a couple minutes. Okay, let's see where we're at. Oh, much better. Okay. We'll clean up these white edges right now. All we're going to do is kind of extend the green down into it. Don't worry, I'm going to add lime over there. Yeah, just a little bit of yellow. Just trying to get rid of the white. Just pick up around here. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, let's see here. Feeling pretty good about it. Okay, we just got to do this shadow, right? And I'm going to do some textures that are in the painting. Okay, I'm going to do the shadow and then some of these textures. So let's just get that in here. I'm going to soften the edge out here at the edge. Just I've got some of that here, but let's get this darker. Bring my shadow up a little higher. Again, I'm just like I mentioned, I want to just smooth that edge out, and then what you want to do is feather this out so it doesn't show up. We'll add a little bit of water. And you don't have to do that, that's just me. Okay, I think we're good. Now I'm just going to do my signature. I'll use a little bit of black for that. We are done. I'd say that's pretty good. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, I might, you know what? I'm not done. Shouldn't put the signature in there. I just want to tweak this a little bit. That thing just looked too cylindrical for me. Like I said, I'm going to feather these edges out. Pear. I like that a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of shape under here. That's the nice thing about having the black is you can come in and do goofy stuff. There we go. I just wanted to give a little different shape to that than such a cylindrical thing. Okay. Okay, we are done. Hey, thanks for watching our video today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, click like below and hit subscribe below as well. And leave me any comments. I wouldn't mind any criticism, advice, things we could do better, things we're doing right. Again, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And check out our website if you get a chance. It's www.light-sculpture.com. Thanks again for watching our video.